Hey, it's Lara here. Welcome to the final Witchy Wednesday for 2019. So I normally do these forecasts weekly, but next week, next Wednesday is Christmas Day, and the following Wednesday is New Year's Day. And I just need to take a break in general, because a lot goes on over the holidays over here, and also because I need to take a little time to do my own kind of reflections, and to catch up on some things and that sort of stuff. So I hope you take the opportunity to do the same. So after this video, we will reconvene in January, January 8th, and I hope to see you then. But before then, we have lots to talk about. So I want to start with the fact that this is an overwhelming time of year for a lot of people, myself included. Just to illustrate, this is the fourth take of this video I have done. This is how I've spent my entire day, and I have a whole lot of other things to do. However, I am determined to get this done for you. And, I have Capricorn in the 5th house of my creative self-expression. So it tends to be work to do this and, to express myself creatively. And I'm okay with that. This has been a time over the course of this year of testing my patience a little or a lot, in this area, in this 5th house area, which has to do with other things as well. But I'm mentioning this to you because this has been a time of testing everybody's patience in some way, shape, or form, probably in the Capricorn area of your chart, most notably. And so what we're really being asked to do, though, is to be patient, to do the work, to keep putting one foot in front of the other in true Capricorn fashion, and to try not to let the setbacks get the better of us, to know that if we are doing the work with the right mindset, it's all going to work out. And so I'm going to talk a whole lot about this as we move through this video. But right now, what I want to say is that, if you're feeling overwhelmed in general, because it's that time of year, take it in chunks, take a break when you need to, set healthy boundaries. Remember that it is a time of the North Node being in Cancer, that sign of nurturing, of being our own mother, right? And so we need to take those opportunities, however small at times, to nurture ourselves, to mother ourselves, to give ourselves what we need to feel some comfort through the difficulties, right? And the challenges. And so if that is even, and through the overwhelm, if that is even putting your feet up for 10 minutes with a hot cup of tea and taking some deep breaths, then that will help. As I said, take it in chunks. What can be really helpful, and what I found helpful, and I've had feedback from other people that they found it helpful, is to follow the guidance and follow the lead of the Divine Mother, right? The moon. She's so closely linked to us, as you've heard me say before. And if we're feeling scattered and overwhelmed, if we can focus on her and check in with her and say, okay, where is the moon at in her cycle? What phase is she in? What sign is she in? How can I follow her lead? That can help center us and help us feel comforted through this time. And, if you haven't already taken advantage of the free guide that I made for you, the guide to working with the moon that you can get at my website from the link below, I encourage you to do that at this time. It doesn't take a lot of time to go through. It's like a 10-minute audio and then a PDF that you can revisit whenever you feel like you need to. But it really helps lay that foundation and can get you kind of started in, you know, how can I utilize the energy? How can I look towards the moon for some guidance? And so I encourage you to do that. That's my gift to you. So, speaking of the moon is currently in Virgo and has been for, you know, the last couple days. So this is good energy for making our list and checking it twice, right? Kind of thing, for getting some details taken care of. Without getting overwhelmed by it all, by all the little details, realizing that sometimes we have to let some things go. Some things are not going to get done, right? Our inbox is never going to be empty, or not for very long anyway, and that's okay. But it is a good opportunity to take care of some of those details and to plan. And then the moon is entering Libra tomorrow on Thursday, the 19th, and she will move on to Scorpio on Saturday, and then Sagittarius on Monday, and she will be in Capricorn on Wednesday, on Christmas Day, when we will have the new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Capricorn. So we're going to spend most of our time in this video talking about that. But once the moon is finished in Capricorn, she will move into Aquarius on the 28th, and we'll finish out the year with the moon in Pisces. She'll move into the sign of Pisces, the final sign of the zodiac, on December 30th. And we'll be there for the remainder of the year. So that's fitting, I feel, the moon in Pisces at the end of the decade, at the end of the year, right? At the end of the cycle, in a sense. Because Pisces, being the last sign of the zodiac, is the sign that has been through it all, right? It's traveled through all the zodiac. It's been on the whole journey, and it's reached the culmination point now. Or, it's taken all of the experiences from all of the other signs. And now comes to this point of being kind of detached, right, from all of that, in a sense, and being realizing kind of that, you know, realizing what's ultimately important, I guess. So that's the moon. We have some other things to talk about, some other things that are going on in and around the time of the eclipse, and then we'll dive deeper into the eclipse. So we have Venus entering Aquarius on Friday, the 20th. That is an energy of bringing kind of, you know, this non-traditional, it's a non-traditional take, right, in matters of love and money and beauty and aesthetic and relationships, all those Venusian things with Venus in Aquarius. So it's about going our own way in relation to those things. Then we have the sun entering Capricorn on the 21st, which marks the solstice. Happy birthday to Capricorn. It's your time. Capricorn sun signs have their birthday at this time. And it is also the pagan holiday of Yule, which is the precursor to Christmas, right? And there are many other cultures that celebrate different traditions and holidays around this time. And our ancestors forever have marked the solstice and the significance of it. So we've got the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere, the summer solstice in the southern hemisphere. And these are important turning points on the wheel, right, of the year. The winter solstice is when the North Pole is pointed farthest away from the sun. So we have the darkest days and the longest nights. And the solstice specifically, right, the 21st, when the sun enters Capricorn, we've got, it's a time, regardless of what traditions you follow, it is a time, and has always been a time of reverence and celebration. Those two things coexisting, which is very Capricornian. And I'm going to talk more about that shortly. So it's a time of sitting in the darkness and calling in the light, right? Because we know the light's returning, but right now we're in the darkness. And so this is why we have things like Christmas trees with lights on them and Christmas lights to illuminate the darkness. So it's a really good time around the solstice to reflect on this past year and even the past decade in this case, and think about how you want to call in the light for 2020, moving forward. It's a good time to set your intentions for the coming year around the solstice. Some people do the New Year's resolution thing. I don't do that so much. It's just, for me, intentions and resolutions are different. And resolutions have more of a, there's this modern idea of, on January 1st, you go on a diet, you buy a 6-month gym membership, you, quit smoking, whatever you do, right? And I feel like that really can set us up for failure, because we're at this time of year when we're depleted in a lot of ways, and maybe not in the space for really taking on that kind of a massive challenge. Rather take it in chunks, rather set the intention and gradually work towards it, right? At some point, you got to do it. You got to make the decision. You got to take the action. But it doesn't have to be all at once. But it is a good time around the solstice to reflect on those things. And, I encourage you, even if you can take like a half an hour to do that around that time, it's a powerful time, because you're utilizing the energy of the universe. Like, this is what we're being called to do at this time. It's an appropriate time to do that. Then moving on, we have Mercury entering Capricorn, on Saturday the 28th, right? So Mercury, the planet of our thinking and our communications, is moving into the sign of Capricorn, making our thoughts and our communications more practical, more serious, more mature, maybe more responsible, more sobering kind of thing. And then we also have, following that, we have Mars, the planet of action and drive, moving into Sagittarius on January 3rd. And so that does it gets us a little fired up, perhaps, for moving towards our truth, for taking action, right? Mars and Sagittarius, towards our truth. Then we've got what we're going to talk about for the remainder of the video happening. Well, it's happening before what I just spoke about on the 26th, the new moon solar eclipse in Capricorn. So let's dive in here. It's at 4 degrees Capricorn specifically. I don't know if I mentioned that already, because this is take 4. So I forget what I said in which video. But again, 12:13 a.m., that's Eastern time on December 26th. So overnight on the 25th. If you have any significant planetary action around 4 degrees of Capricorn, give or take, quite a wide orb on either side, at least 5 degrees, I'd say. So, if your sun, your moon, your rising sign, you have a collection of planets, if you have your MC around that point, 4 degrees Capricorn, any of these things, Capricorn, also the other cardinal signs of Cancer, Aries and Libra, you're going to feel this energy, most definitely. We are all going to feel this energy, but you're really going to feel it. But it's all hitting. Nobody is escaping this. And I don't mean that. Like, this is actually quite a powerful and positive eclipse as I see it. And we're all going to feel it. That's what I'm trying to say. But this eclipse is happening in Capricorn on the Capricorn-Cancer axis. All eclipse families, they happen in families, and they happen on an axis, right? So the two signs that are opposite each other, in this case, are Cancer and Capricorn. And so we're in this cycle of eclipses, which began in July of 2018 and will come to a close in July of 2020. And in this case, the eclipse is in Capricorn. This axis of Cancer Capricorn is the axis of security. So Cancer being our emotional security and Capricorn being our practical or material security. This is the axis that's being lit up for us with this family of eclipses. There are, at the time of this eclipse, 7 planets in Capricorn. So we've been talking about Capricorn a lot because a lot has been going on. We know we've got that conjunction coming in early January between Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn. Then in later 2020, we've got Saturn and Jupiter meeting up in Capricorn. Big stuff going on in Capricorn, right? And this eclipse, we've got 7 planets. And so I want to show you the chart before I move on with some more details here, just to illustrate this. Here is Capricorn. Party in Capricorn. So 7 planets, right? Count them up. We've got the moon and the sun here right beside Jupiter. And so this is a conjunction. Jupiter is conjuncting this eclipse, which is quite beautiful and exciting. And we'll talk about that. We also have Uranus in the fellow Earth sign of Taurus at 2 degrees Taurus, making an almost exact trine to this eclipse. A trine is an energy conversation of ease and flow. It's supportive. Then we have Chiron over here in Aries, which is squaring this eclipse. And as you may have heard me say before, square is a conversation of tension. So I'm going to move this away and talk to you now. That is not necessarily a bad thing. Squares can be very, very huge opportunities to make real positive change, but we have to do the work. We have to take the action. So 7 planets in Capricorn, including asteroid Ceres, right? Which is actually a dwarf planet. So I include her here, and we've spoken about her in the past, but massive emphasis here. The last time we had this lineup of planets in Capricorn was in the 1200s. So this is not like an everyday occurrence. What happened in the 1200s? Well, I did some digging. I did a little research. And a lot of significant things happened in the 1200s. I'm going to share just a few of them with you to illustrate that we can kind of see a similar energy, that we're in the midst of right now. Things that is, it's resonating with some of these things. So what happened in the 1200s? The Crusades happened. The Magna Carta was signed, right? Which decentralized the power of the state. Genghis Khan was at the height of his power. He also died in the 1200s. We had France and England go to war over certain territories. There was a huge battle over the Holy Roman Empire. Wales became sovereign from England for a time. What else happened? Dante was born. And William Wallace, Braveheart, right? You may have seen the movie based on this. And his band of Scottish clansmen, they gained temporary independence from England. And in the 1200s. And then the last thing I want to mention to you is a really good segue into talking more about Capricorn energy. King Wenceslas, right? It's very fitting at this time of year that I'm talking about this. You probably are familiar with the carol, Good King Wenceslas. It happens to be my favorite carol, especially the Sky Diggers version. If you haven't heard it, you should. But King Wenceslas became king of the Czech Republic, or that's what we know it as now, but Bohemia, and also of Poland. And he was a benevolent king, right? You just have to listen to the song lyrics that were written long after his time, but that speak to who he was. And so when I saw that this happened, King Wenceslas was ruled in this time period, I thought this is so cool because he is the perfect symbol for the true nature of Capricorn, a benevolent king. Now, some people might be thinking, what are you talking about? But we often think of Capricorn as being this, it's the goat that is climbing the mountain, very ambitious, really hardworking, nose to the grindstone, and reaching for success. Very associated with the material world and material ambition and success. And all of that is absolutely true. But the symbol for Capricorn is the sea goat, right? Which has the tail of a fish. Fish are spiritual symbols. Think of the sign of Pisces, the two fishes. And so the sea goat has two sides to it. And we often lose sight of that and we don't think about it. So the symbol of Capricorn, the sea goat, is actually about the merging of the material and the spiritual. It's when those two things come into alignment and into integrity. And that's when we have true success. So what this reminds us is that our structures, our traditions, our life's work, our economy, our politics, our governments, our banks, all of these things must have a spiritual side. And when we kind of climb the mountain with that in mind, we're utilizing true Capricorn energy. And that's when we tend to get the best results. And so I remind you of that, right? That it is bringing those two sides, the material and the spiritual, they can coexist. And they're meant to coexist. And we often think, especially people that are, in the spiritual community, there's a lot of people that still think that you have to sort of put that aside, right? That you shouldn't be focusing on the material. I'm here to tell you that's not true. You don't focus on one to the exclusion of the other. It's when we are doing the work with reverence that we see results. And we are spiritual beings having a very human experience in this material world. That's Capricorn. So, having said that, I want to talk to you about a few more details about the eclipse in general, flesh out a few things that I already mentioned, and then dive into each of the signs. An eclipse energy, particularly a solar eclipse, is like when the light is turned off, right? And then comes back on, like say, it's a storm and the power goes out and there's like flashes of bright lightning. And in that lightning, everything's illuminated and looks different. Or the light goes back on and like the energy just feels different when that happens, right? It's like the light's out, you're in the darkness, the light goes on, everything looks different. You notice things you didn't notice before. Maybe somebody rearranged the furniture, whatever. But it's this time when that light goes off or it's obstructed in some way and we're able to gain insight and we can have these huge turning points and breakthroughs and quantum leaps at the time of eclipses, particularly because we have Uranus involved here and Jupiter. And so we can see some like portals opening or some hidden passages or some doors where we didn't see them before with this eclipse energy. This is a new moon, right? As well. So this is like a new moon on steroids. What do you want 2020 to look like? is the big question. 2020 and beyond. So after sitting in that darkness, right, we talked about the solstice and then the light coming back on. We're moving back towards the light after the solstice in the northern hemisphere. There's a tipping point in the southern hemisphere as well, right? It's about the tipping point. What do we want the time ahead to look like? With Chiron squaring the eclipse, the square brings us a good opportunity for healing if we're willing to take the opportunity, if we're willing to take the action. Jupiter conjuncting the eclipse is this sense of optimism and abundance and growth in whatever has been the focus in the Capricorn area of our chart, right? It's a potential for a quantum leap in this area. And that will be in accordance with the work that we've done to date. That will let us know, are we on the right path? Are we not? One way or the other kind of thing. And then the eclipse trining Uranus in Taurus that I showed you on the chart, this is that power surge, positive change, excitement kind of thing. There is a real sense that there are potential for miracles to happen under this energy. And I don't throw that around lightly, Does that mean everybody's going to win the lottery? No, it doesn't. That's not what I mean. But it's like with, I often say to you, blessings sometimes come in disguise. Well, that's the way miracles work too. They come out of nowhere. We weren't expecting them. Sometimes we don't recognize them if we're not paying attention. So it's like the hand of fate stepping in and wanting to gift us with something. And ultimately, it will be a tipping point for us, right? Again, we'll know, am I on the right path or am I not? But it's important to know that one way or the other. It's all good. Having said all that, let's dive into each sign. And we're going to, as always, somebody asked me in last week's video, do I look at my sun or my moon sign? The answer is yes. Yes to both of those, but also the rising sign, the ascendant. That's when you're listening to a general forecast, that will give you the sense more of what's happening sort of in your sphere, like right in front of you, right? In your material reality sort of thing on the day-to-day. And when we do these forecasts general like this, it tends to be the most obvious or accurate because we're speaking to the house that this is falling in. However, listen to your sun and moon as well. That gives you the full picture, right? The trifecta, those three pieces of the puzzle. If you only know your sun sign, that's okay. Listen for that, and it will resonate on some level for you as well. If you're interested in knowing more about your chart, of course, you could gift yourself with a chart reading in the new year at some point. Or you can always take the time to draw up your own chart if you're interested in doing that on, some free site like astro.com where you can draw up your chart. Okay, so moving on here though, moving into the signs and what this eclipse and all of this Capricorn energy ultimately means for you. Where is it focusing for you? So we're starting with Capricorn because Capricorn, it's your season, it's your eclipse. Everything's about you, Capricorn, these days. And really, if you heard me in the intro, and I hope you did, talk about the true nature of Capricorn, right? That alignment of the material and the spiritual. We are looking to the optimal expression of Capricorn for guidance right now. And so Capricorn, this eclipse and all of this energy is happening in the house of the self, your first house. It's all about you, your physical body, your physical appearance, your physical vitality, your instinctual approach to the outside world, how you move through this life, this incarnation, how the world perceives you, right? How you appear to the outside world. And so the eclipse can be a real turning point for you, right? Moving forward, it can be a power surge in that area of the chart and show you the way forward into 2020. There may have been some challenges, some obstacles, no doubt, in this area of life over the last year and even, before that. And this is a time where you can start to see things changing for the better in that area, or at very least, what direction you need to head to change things for the better. So that's for you, Capricorn. Moving on to Sagittarius now, where we have this eclipse and all of this energy in Capricorn happening in your second house, Sag. So this is like you're in a dark room and the light comes on and you're noticing things that you never noticed before in relation to your material resources and possessions, your money, your how you make a secure place in the world, right? For yourself, your self-worth and your core values. All of these things are second house. Second house even speaks to what we put in our body. And so that could be, evident for some of you. And there may have been something going on in relation to any of those second house themes that's felt like a challenge, like some obstacles, like some hard work. And now with the eclipse coming in, there can be a real feeling, a real moment, a real rush of energy, a real power surge in that area, lighting the way forward for you. And a real hit of you're on the right track, in that area, Sagittarius, or at least what you need to do next to really get on the right track. So that's for you. I'm moving on to Scorpio now. Scorpio, you've got the eclipse and all the Capricorn energy in your third house of communications, of your thoughts and ideas and your self-talk and how you exchange messages back and forth with people on the day-to-day. And your immediate environment is third house, the communications that happen, the trips, the travel that happens sort of more short distance rather than international kind of thing. The peers, the siblings, the cousins, the people in your community, this kind of thing, all third house. And so been some hard work going on for you in this area, Scorpio. And you're reaching that point where this eclipse can have there can be this like flash, right? That happens for you where there's a real great opportunity that presents itself, or you get some major insight on how to move forward next. And you're beginning a new phase in this area of the third house. So Scorpio, please listen to the introduction, for all of the foundation that you need to work with what I just said to you there. So moving on to Libra, we've got the eclipse and all the Capricorn energy happening in your fourth house, Libra. So Libra, you've been going through some challenges in this area of the chart where Capricorn sits for you, which has to do with home, place of living, family, your ancestry, your roots, your connection to the female lineage, and your emotional security. So, with the eclipse happening, you can have a real sea change moment that can hearken in 2020 for you, or light the way to 2020 for you in relation to this fourth house. There can be a bit of a stroke of luck that happens. There can be, a real positive opportunity and a sense of optimism injected into this fourth house area for you. You will know if you are, barking up the right tree, so to speak, in this fourth house area, or if you need to change course. So Libra, that's for you. I'm going to move to Virgo now, where Virgo, we have, and I say we because I'm a Virgo rising, we have the eclipse happening in the 5th house and all this Capricorn energy concentrated in the 5th house. So it can feel like a lot, it can, this last year and even beyond, it's felt like a lot of work in relation to what sparks joy for you. Children you work with, your creative self-expression, how you have fun in life in general. And now with this eclipse happening, it's a tipping point. And it's this chance to kind of see the path forward and see it with a sense of optimism. Good things can be really coming to fruition down the road in this area of the chart. And right now it's a new moon solar eclipse, right? So it's like taking the next big leap in this area of the chart. And you have some good support to do that. And so, and things just may start to kind of seem different and lighter, and you have a different view of things in this area of life moving forward. So that's for you, Virgo. We're going to move to Leo now. Leo, the eclipse is happening in your 6th house, right? That's where all the Capricorn energy is concentrated for you. And this is the house of your day-to-day activities, the daily grind, all the little, ticky boxes you have to check off on the day-to-day. And in relation to, your routines and your wellness and your health as well. Or if you work in that kind of an environment related to health and wellness, this speaks to you as well. And so, Leo, there's been a lot of work going on in this department for you over 2019 and even prior to that when it began. But now there's this sea change and this tipping point and this, breakthrough that's possible for you around the time of the eclipse. And you can see, yes, I've done all this work and things are starting to look up now. And, I'm on the right track, or perhaps I need to course correct in this area kind of thing. But it's good. It's ultimately good and beneficial. So that's for you, Leo. Moving on to Cancer. Cancer, you've got the eclipse happening in your 7th house of your closest personal one-to-one relationships. So all this Capricorn energy, right? Capricorn's your opposite sign. So you got a lot going on too, Cancer. Just like Capricorn does. But this Capricorn energy is concentrated in that 7th house. And so all the work that you've done in this area and that you've been through and the trials and tribulations are now reaching this point where you're building some momentum. It's a tipping point. It's a sea change moment. It's the lights, being in the darkness, and the lights come on and everything looks different. And so how are you going to harness that, Cancer? Notice the gifts that are coming in around this time in that 7th house area, or perhaps the information, right, that's coming in that's saying, yes, you're headed in the right direction, or you need to shift gears, in this area kind of thing. But ultimately, if you listen to the intro, you'll know that big energy with a lot of positive support behind it. Okay, Cancer, that's for you. Moving on to Gemini now. We've got the eclipse and all the Capricorn stuff going on in your 8th house, Gemini. So it's been a lot of work and, responsibility and maturity and all of these things going on in relation to a very kind of vulnerable area of the chart for you, right? Where you feel vulnerable, your intimate connections, intimate relationships, your deep psyche, psychological healing and wounding, And also, like what's kind of kept hidden and kind of stuffed down there. You know what I mean? The skeletons in the closet. Also, on a sort of mundane, practical level, this is about the resources that you share with others. So those things like insurance and taxes and debt and inheritance and that kind of thing. So for you, Gemini, the eclipse in this area is a time when you'll get some real information about all the hard work you've done and where that's headed. And, there should be a positive spin to that in some way. Some light bulb moment, some tipping point that you feel you can kind of go, okay, I got this sort of thing. So that's what's going on for you, Gemini. Please listen to the intro to make sense of what I just said. And we're moving to Taurus, where we have the eclipse happening in your 9th house, Taurus. So a sea change moment, right? In relation to all the hard work and obstacles and trials and tribulations that have gone on for you in relation to teaching, learning, long distance travel, foreign cultures, things we learn from people different from us. Our worldview and belief system and philosophy, right? These are all the things being impacted by the Capricorn energy for you. And again, as I said, this eclipse bringing this illumination, this tipping point in this area of life for you. All right, Taurus, moving on to to Aries now. Sorry, moving on to Aries. Aries, we have all this energy concentrated in your 10th house, Capricorn, where the eclipse is happening. And this is focused on your worldly ambitions, your career, the legacy you wish to leave, your relationship to authority. All of these things are 10th house, right? And so there's been a lot of work going on in this 10th house for you, Aries, over this last year. And it's a sea change moment for you, a tipping point, a time when all of a sudden things are going to look different. So that's for you, Aries. Listen to the intro most definitely, okay, for all of the foundation. And we're moving on to Pisces. Excuse me, I'm getting a dry throat. Had to pause the video for just a sec to have a coughing fit. But Pisces, for you, this eclipse and all this Capricorn energy is concentrated in your 11th house. So you probably heard the phrase, your vibe attracts your tribe. This rings true for you in this scenario, Pisces, because the work that's been going on for you is in that house of friendship groups, of associations, clubs, organizations, of the people who are walking the same path as you and can help you, realize your hopes and dreams for the future. And so, Pisces, with this eclipse, there is a sea change moment possible for you in this area that can show you all the hard work has paid off, and where you need to kind of focus next. So listen to the intro, Pisces, and you'll get all the details to make more sense of what I've just said to you in relation to your 11th house. But all in all, really quite beautiful energy. Moving on to last but not least, we've got Aquarius. Aquarius, all of this Capricorn energy is focused in your 12th house, right? The house of the hidden, of what goes on behind closed doors. The house that speaks to how we self-sabotage, right? Those bad habits or unconscious habits that sometimes take us down. We also associate certain places with the 12th house, places that we consider behind closed doors. So spiritual retreat centers and ashrams and hospices and nursing homes and, like long-term care facilities, rehabilitation facilities, prisons, these kinds of things are our 12th house. And so there may be an association with that. And there may have been a lot of work in some way that's gone on an unseen level, and perhaps on a very spiritual level for you, Aquarius. And now there's this moment with the eclipse of everything changes. And you may quite literally have some kind of spiritual awakening. Or there's just a real sea change moment in relation to all of those 12th house things, or at least one of those 12th house things that I just spoke to you about. So I think I'll leave that there. Thank you so much for listening to this and for being with me, for subscribing to the channel. I hope you continue to do so and that you share it with people that you think, this might benefit. I wish you all the best for the holidays, whatever it is that you choose to do or how you celebrate or not, however you spend your time, and many blessings for the coming year. And I'll see you in January, okay? Take good care. Bye-bye.